Hi there. Trying to go with a less scripted approach in these to see if it comes out any better. So I've just got kind of bullet points that I want to talk about. I've been watching a few more sort of videos by other sort of YouTube users and such, and I just thought I'd sort of talk a little bit more about the traits that affect me, the Asperger's traits, or things that sort of get to me and cause me problems. Now I was watching one user, I can't remember her name unfortunately, a rather positive upbeat girl, you know, those lovely but annoying people because they're so happy and joyful, and it's like, yeah, you're kind of making me sick, go away. But she made some points that I just wanted to sort of touch on. I wish I could remember. Maybe I'll try and put her link in the description. But she said that she does things where she picks up people's accents really quickly and mimicking their sort of body language and such. And I noticed that I do that when I was hanging around with a friend's band who they're all Welsh. I properly pick up some of the accents and some of the, not necessarily the accent, but some of the things they say and some of the mannerisms and such. And especially if I go out with Bobby and some of his friends and such, I do, and if there's people there that I get on with, I can end up being quite even more camp than I usually am, and even get the hands and such. So I do that quite a lot without even thinking about it, and I think that some people think that it's an intentional, over-the-top thing, but it's half the time I don't even realise I'm doing it, and then once, if I do realise I'm doing it, then it'll end up being exaggerated or something of the like, because I then try and not do it, but it just ends up getting worse and being a quite pain, and I think people find that off-putting, which is probably why people don't bother with me, because they think I'm doing this for attention, but it's something I can't really help. Now, I'm not sure if I've covered it in the videos before, but a little while ago I was with a friend and was talking about my traits and such, and talking about when I was going through my assessment, and the reasons why they say I don't have Asperger's is because I'm able to empathise and I'm able to keep eye contact with people. But what a lot of people don't seem to realise is that with eye contact, the only reason why I'm able to do it is because I know I have to, but it feels really forced, and it actually, like, it doesn't feel sort of painful. Like, I know I need to do it, but with my friends and family and such, only like I've spoken to Charlotte about it, and she says she knows that I don't, and I try to avoid as much as possible, but I will give someone eye contact, like, momentary. Like, in a 5-minute conversation, I will give them probably about 3.5 minutes, possibly more, of eye contact. But that is constantly broken. Like, that could be broken up 100, 200, 300 times, because I will look like that just because I don't like eye contact. And it's weird, and now, going back to the point of when I was talking to my friend, that I realised that because another thing they said is that I seem to have the majority of social skills that can get me through life, so I've been able to get to this point. Now, I didn't feel like that at all, but I now kind of understand more that I'm able to engage with people and such and communicate. So where I've actually learned to do well in certain aspects, because it's taken me so much longer to learn those things, and they're not exactly refined, but they're due. But because it's taken me longer to learn those things, I lack in others. So, like being, well, the social sort of aspects. I mean, to be honest, I don't really know where I lack. Even if I have been told, me in remembering things like that are not very good. So, but I do lack in certain aspects, which is probably another reason why I haven't done so well with friends and other people and such. Moving on to like the discovery of traits and such, Charlotte once told me that the average age of people finding out that they've got Asperger's and they've got autism problems and such, unless it's very, very clear, apparently it is in sort of mid to sort of late 30s, I believe. So it's not actually a uncommon thing. Unless it's quite clearly obvious, traits like Asperger's and such don't get picked up until later on, which is really shit, to be honest. I mean, if I could have been identified like really early on, and I'm not blaming anyone because it's not exactly clear. I mean, I didn't know. My sister's always thought I had some kind of learning difficulties, bless her. Probably because she's got problems herself as well, so she might be able to pick it out quicker. But yeah, so whatever. I think with things like work and my traits, I think it's like I've had trouble, like a lot of trouble in certain jobs. Although I feel confident in the call centre work and admin work and such that I've done before, I haven't really had a job where I felt 100% confident and up for doing it. And like I always say, I haven't been in a job where if a manager were to walk around and say, does anyone want to do overtime? I haven't had a job since my 20s where I've been the one that said, oh yeah, I'll do it. Just like a friend said, probably because I'm just in the wrong industry. It's not something I really want to be doing. But like the rest of my life, really, I don't really know what I want to do, where I want to go. I just kind of have a rough idea. Like people say, what's your goals in life? And I just say to be okay off, to have a family, and be happy. I mean, those are my sort of 3 real goals. I don't, and anything that falls into that or gets me there is good. But it would be helpful if I knew a little bit more about that. Another thing about my traits is things like unintentional rudeness or leaving conversations abruptly and leaving places without saying goodbye. I seriously wouldn't be able to count the amount of times where I've just decided, right, I'm going home, or this is the moment where we're going home, like when I'm with people. And case in point, like when I used to go clubbing in central London, I would generally only ever say goodbye to people I saw on the way out. Now, it's not, I don't think it's laziness, but I don't know, it's a rather strange one. Like, I think maybe because I knew deep down inside the friendships were not necessarily totally superficial, but it was like, if you're there, great. If you're not really bothered. So maybe I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to go and say goodbye to someone. Maybe that's in the back of my head how I felt about a lot of people, and maybe that's the way they felt about me as well, which is fair enough. I mean, it's it's a two-way street, so if it's same for one, it's not so bad if it's for the other. I think I've had weird ones where, in conversations where I felt kind of strained or held in a conversation, or if other people are talking and I'm not sure on the subject, or I've got nothing to say, or I feel like I find it really hard when people are talking about subjects I've got no idea in. I'll just end up clamming up, not having anything to say, and end up being the one playing on my phone or looking around for someone I know or an excuse to leave, which obviously can make me look really bad. But it's something I just don't intend. Like, as well, like, I've got a lot of friends who are performers and musicians and such, and for some reason, knowing someone that performs and going to see them live, sometimes I still get embarrassed for them. Even if they're amazing, I still get kind of embarrassed about it for some unknown reason, which is really annoying for me and shit for others around, because I will do things to try and distract myself, which then can entail them being distracted as well. Like, I've lost count how many times Charlotte's elbowed me to say, "What are you doing? Stop doing that." But it's just uncontrollable. It's like we'd be watching TV, and if something that I find embarrassing is going on, I'll try and change channel, turn the volume up or down, plug my ears, anything of the like. Like recently, we were at a friend's and we watched we listened to the outtakes of this Peter Andre and Katie Price song, and I sat there the whole time with my fingers in my ears, just blocking it out, while they were absolutely wetting themselves at how dreadful it was. But I found that those kind of things painful, which is quite good, because that leads me on to what I call sort of unnecessary noise or unnecessarily loudness, and sensitivities and such. Like, Bobby has this thing where if he gets stressed with something, he'll just make a really sudden loud "ah" or something of the like, and it can be quite shocking, and it's because we've known him for so long, it's just like, oh, another one of those, and that really, and those kind of things, like if someone turns music up that I'm generally not into, or if I'm doing something else, that can instantly put me into a bad place and make me really angry, like almost instantly, which is really, again, really annoying and stressful, because it's not something I should really be getting pissed off at. And yeah, but it's one of my triggers that I just can't help. It's one of those instant, anyone with these kind of things would understand that it just puts you in a shit place straight away, and yet again it's quite hard to sort of get out of any of these traits. This is quite a funny one, actually. Now, my memory is very strange. Like, some days I'll be able to remember almost all of a conversation, where we were at the time, what we were wearing. However, I still can't remember which way round my parents' birthdays are, because they're exactly 7 days apart. Thinking about it, is it Mum's first, or I can't remember. I know they're the 11th and the 17th of March. April, sorry. Oh dear. Oh no, I can't even remember that. Fuck. See, that's the point. Like, I can remember certain things. Like, even my most favourite things like Transformers and such, I know the majority of the main cast, but information drops in and out constantly. And it's hard to keep it in there, like learning new things. If I'm not doing it constantly, like absolutely constantly, once I've learnt it, then I will forget it. And that's what I found so stressful about doing photography, is using the camera and then remembering all the techniques to get the photo as it should be, and then remembering the editing as well, and what to do in some programs like Photoshop and such. It's really hard for me to remember, and to be honest, it's almost impossible. Learning things on my own is more stressful than, like, I need to be shown something by someone. I can't just be like expected to do it on my own. I don't learn like that. And yeah, and I wish that's why, like, I'd like to do courses in things, because you get shown and you're not expected to just do it off of, like, sit in front of an instruction manual and put that information in your head. It's like a family thing on my side. We've never been able to look at instructions, so we just generally kind of pick up whatever it is, and unless you're in danger of losing a limb, we go with not using it until we need to. What we usually would do is, just if we had that problem, we'd just pass it over to Dad and say, "Dad, tell me in English." Now, I don't know if anyone has this kind of one as well. I'm very sort of sensitive to things like dust. Like, I can't stand the feeling of dust on my hands. It's just, I feel like all the moisture's being pulled out of my fingers and my hands, and I have to constantly wash my hands. But then again, when I wash my hands, they have to be dry. I can't have my hands wet either. So I would always, like, whenever doing washing up, if I'd finish washing something up, I will go and dry my hands immediately. And it's like the same with moisturising creams and such as well. I can't have them on my hands. I can have them on the back of my hands, but if I were to apply it, obviously like that, I would then have to have it off of the palms. I just cannot have it. It's like if Charlotte asks for a massage on her shoulders and we use some oil, I will have to go and wash my hands afterwards. I can't just let it sink in. I just can't. There's something about my hands that I just cannot, and I'd rather my hands go dry than to have that. I don't know why, I find it quite stressful actually, which is very weird. I don't know why that's stressful, but there you go, trying to figure out traits. I kind of went off there because I wanted to say something about numbers. Like, there are certain things where I'm able to remember a certain amount of information I'm given, like like telephone number. Obviously there are generally 11 digits. If someone were to reel off 11 digits in a row, I will stop them at 4 or 5, because I can generally take 4 or 5 digits, but if you give me any more than that, I can't do it. I just cannot. And it's another one of those things where I'll go into instant anger, like the person should know that I can't do that, which is really unfair, because some people can. Some people they can tell you what pi is, but I just cannot. some numbers I find easier, like I'm more of a even person, so everything has to be in pairs. But if you were to read out sort of 5 numbers to me, that would be my absolute maximum that I could store in my head. That's why learning telephone numbers is an absolute pain for me. And if you give it in a format that isn't 5-4-3 or 3-4, I won't be able to input that in my head. I will forget it almost instantly. I might remember the first part, but I won't remember the rest. Also, like, along with that, if someone's dictating something to me, it's like it has to be done quite slowly, because, for instance, let me just read something I've got here. How is adding to that information really going to help me? Now, if I were typing that down, I would have to read that back in my head again. So someone would say it, I would have to say it in my head and then put it down. So it's like I'm reading it back twice at once, and then I'll say it again as I'm typing. But if someone starts talking to me, that will distract me, and it will completely put me off. So unfortunately, Charlotte and I have had this problem before, where she's trying to help me write something and she's given me examples, and she'll try and move on, and I'm just like, no, can't do it, you need to stop and just slow down a bit. And obviously it's taken it down to a bloody crawl, which is really annoying for her, but I just can't do that. Like, I'll be the worst note taker ever. Plus my handwriting is absolutely abysmal anyway, so if I were to be writing things down, it would just end up an absolute mess. Well, I'm not sure really what else to say on this, but if anyone watching has anything of the like, then do let me know. You can just put it in the comments and we can chat about it there. Please like the videos. If you like anything or know anyone that would help them to watch the videos or anything like that, then please forward over to them. Yeah, thanks.